Brian Berry with High Plains Bank. Specialize in helping businesses with their credit card processing needs. And as most of you know, I've been in the industry for a long time, about 15 years. I was a vice president for Bank of America in Texas in their merchant services division. Moved here in 2010 when I started my own company, Merit Card, and did that until this past July. So when I moved on and started a whole merchant services division for High Plains Bank in Longmont. So pretty excited about the new role. Nice thing about it is I've gotten to create everything from the ground up. So create all the agreements with all the back ends and kind of customize it to myself, which is really fun with a great company behind me. So that's kind of a little bit about my background. As far as on the credit card processing, pricing is always the thing that comes to mind first when it gets discussed, and I think we're the best out there on pricing. So there's really two main ways that you can price merchant services that you see today anyway. So there's a tiered pricing, which is similar to like a Square, which I know I brought up the example this morning, where you're paying a 2.75% on swiped and a 3.5% on key transactions. So everything drops into one of those two buckets, if you want to think about it. So the way we price is called interchange plus pricing. And interchange is the cost from Visa and MasterCard to run a transaction. That's the same for every credit card processor in the country, whether it's me or Wells Fargo or Chase or any of the processors. That's what's paid back to Visa and MasterCard. So you pay a set amount over that cost. So for example, let's say you accepted a debit card, and the cost on that debit card to run through is about 1%. If you were paying a 0.5% over interchange, then you'd be paying about 1.5% on that transaction. So if it was a reward card where people are getting their miles, the cost on those cards is about a 1.6. So on that, you're paying a 2.1%. So as you see, you're always paying a set amount over cost versus a 2.75 or soon to be a 2.6% on every transaction, which is always going to be way higher because you're almost paying downgrades on transactions, 3.5% on key, where you'd never be that high with the interchange plus way of pricing. So that's a big thing. If you ever see one that's on a tiered pricing program, it's probably not the most cost effective. So we can help in those instances. I don't do contracts, so it's kind of become commonplace in the industry as far as contracts go for merchant services. I've never believed in when I had my company and when I started with the bank and created everything. I wanted to make sure that I had that option not to do contracts. My thought has always been if you take care of people, set people up the right way, provide great customer service, you don't have to worry about people leaving. So that's something that I wanted to do from the ground up. Next day funding, so if you process credit cards today, that money's in your account tomorrow. So cash flow is very important. I've seen, not as much anymore, but I've seen instances where people are waiting a week to get their funds, which can be really detrimental to a small business where cash flow is very important. So leasing on equipment, I know I've shared this story a little bit in the past, but we don't do leasing. I sell all my equipment at cost if I don't give it to my customers. At no cost if I have the equipment there, I'm happy to do that for them. Leasing is probably the worst thing that we see in this industry. People get ripped off left and right. I'm sure you know, or maybe yourself have been a victim of that. But I had a liquor store in eastern Colorado that had just a standalone terminal, the X520, which is given for about $100. They're really inexpensive. They don't do anything special. It's not a point of sale that does anything. You just put in the amount, swipe the card, and you're done. And this customer was paying $463 for 72 months on a lease. So they're I did the math, it was at like $25,000 they're gonna end up paying for this $100 machine. And once they signed that agreement, I actually tried to get them out of it because there are limits on what you can sell lease it for if you do leasing. And it was right at the top of that limit. So I was hoping it was over that so we could nullify that lease. But once you sign those, whether the business is there or not, they'll come after you and make it really difficult. So if anyone's ever looking at doing a lease, don't do it. It's worst thing you could do as far as credit card processing, in my opinion. So product set. So we have fortunate to be able to set up these agreements. Like I said, there's really two large back ends in the industry. You have TSYS, you have First Data, you have Payment Tech as well, which is Chase. But the two big ones, in my opinion, TSYS and First Data, I've been able to set up agreements with both of them now. So I feel like I have a lot more product set than even I did before when I started my own company, which is nice. So, so that really helps being able to find the right fit for people as far as what solution that they might need. So, of course, we can do the standalone solutions, point of sale solutions. We have Clover's a big one that we see these days. That's the First Data product. TSYS has a line of products called Vital. So these are going to track your inventory, all touch screen, chip integration, track your employees' time clocks, that type of thing. So really, restaurant, that type of thing that is going to be real beneficial to them. So that's one of the product lines that we have. Mobile solutions. So this is a big one these days where a lot of people are out mobily. We have devices similar to Square, Bluetooth devices that can attach to your phone, an iPad, an Android tablet, wherever you want, where you can mobily take swipe transactions. They also have EMV integration on them, so you do take the chip card, so you're covered there as well. So that's another one that's been very helpful for folks. Every account that we set up is also, which I really like, it used to be a separate product, but every account comes, if you have a point of sale system or a standalone terminal, you automatically get a virtual terminal with that, as well as the mobile solution. So if you have let's say your internet goes down and you're kind of dead in the water and you're in a liquor store again, you could log in through a computer. I guess your internet's down, you don't have a computer either, but you can go on your phone and log into this virtual terminal and still have the ability to take cards in a pinch. So it's kind of nice to have that functionality there, kind of a safety blanket to help in case something does go down. So actually I had a liquor store that happened to last night. He called me about 9 o'clock and was freaking out because his phone system went down and internet went down at his location. So the virtual terminal also has a lot of additional functionality. I have a lot of people that invoice customers. So if you invoice a customer, this might be a good solution for you where you can actually send out an invoice via email that'll have a link in it that customers can go on and pay their fees. So you set it up, you put whatever the amount the invoice is, the invoice number, whatever detailed information. You can attach attachments as well to that. You email that to that customer so that they can pay you on the spot. Another nice thing, a lot of attorneys that do this, as well as nonprofits, is a pay now or donate now link on your website. So we can set up those links as well. That will help people go on your website and make donations if you're not doing the invoicing thing. So pretty much any way that you want to be able to help accept payments from people, we can manage that for you. So customer service is another thing that I pride myself on. I know I work with some of you in the room here, but it's really something in this industry that is lacking. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. This industry gets a bad rap, rightfully so, because there's a lot of companies that set you up, you never see or hear from them again. I'm not that way. So my customers all have my cell, my office. Of course, I have a 24/7 back end as well, as far as a team that can help. But no one ever usually gets to that point because I answer the phone at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night to help somebody out with their machine, and that's why people do business with me. Like I said, I think the rates and everything are there, but the customer service is what keeps people around and keeps people customers for a long time. So no, that was quick, and we're running short on time, but kind of want to open it up to questions. Is any?
So I have two. One, typically with the merchant services, like you're talking about, they'll have a monthly fee. Do you guys have a monthly fee?
There is a small monthly fee. It's about $10 a month that you'd have, which is pretty common. Unless it's the one that you don't is Square. You don't have a monthly fee with that, but the rate's so much higher, unless you're doing very, very low, probably $500 and under in volume, then that difference in rate's gonna far make up for that small monthly fee that you have.
Gotcha. And the second one, you were talking about the donate buttons for nonprofits. Can you set up multiple tiered amount donate buttons? Or is it just a single?
Typically, you can customize that if you want, but typically it's let them put in whatever amount that they want, kind of thing. But you can customize that button however you'd like. So there's a couple of different options for that.
My question piggybacks onto that. So if somebody makes a donation, and I know you said you had invoicing capacity, do you have automatically generated receipts with the amount that they chose? Like for tax deduction?
Yeah, so they're gonna get that receipt,
So that can be-
absolutely. And you can also set up with that as recurring billing with that virtual terminal, that I forgot to mention. So if you have somebody that wants to donate and pay, $100 a month for a year, you can set that up so you don't actually have to remember to go and charge that customer. You can,
I was thinking more for fundraising,
Or for
there's
subscriptions?
different tiers
Yeah,
and
sure.
sponsorships.
no, absolutely.
Yeah, so I need to think about how to ask this. What is your recommendation for small businesses that aren't invoicing? Because it feels like you're kind of dependent on whatever, the platform that you're using, whoever they're integrated with from a merchant services perspective. Like, I mean, when you talk to small business owners, how are they handling that? Like, it just seems like you don't want to be invoicing out of a different system if your system streamlines it, like the efficiency of that versus.
I do have an integration, like QuickBooks is the one that everyone is usually aware of and using. So we do have a product that can integrate with QuickBooks, so you can still use your same QuickBooks as you're doing now to send out invoices. So if you are using that, we do have that functionality. A lot of people will just use a separate system like this virtual terminal or an authorized.net to do the invoicing, so that's another option. So some of the different softwares don't allow you to integrate because they make you use one processor, and the rates are usually really high because they're getting some sort of kickback from that. So that's something that is unfortunate. We see that a lot with different point of sales or different systems, but it's nice that we can integrate at least with the QuickBooks piece now, because it used to be really hard to do that.
Do you have the ability, money has to go into my trust account. I can't pay fees out of it.
Sure.
Do you have the ability to
Absolutely.
take the fees out of the
Yeah,
second?
do that all the time for the Colt app and the trust account. So separate for, of course, deposits, and then the fees come out wherever you want. So absolutely, I can customize that.
Yeah,
I was going to jump in and say, if you have any other questions, I highly encourage you to set up a one-to-one with him, just in the interest of time. Got to keep going on. I want to get everybody out of here at 9:30, but you had something to say.
Yeah, I did. Brian and I have worked together with multiple clients, and the guy has been reliable. He calls clients. He gives them the best deal, the family deal from the get-go. And he earns the business every month. And so if you were thinking about taking cards, you should really sit down with Brian. He can help grow your business.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.